What's up, everybody? Welcome to another riveting episode of Off the Couch Boxing, where we dive into the meat and potatoes of the fight game, give it to you real and raw. I am your host, Rex Ruger, version 2.0.
And I'm your other host, Frank Bengz, back with another episode.
And obviously, the picture that is here in our room right now should need no explanation as to who we're talking about tonight. If this man isn't recognized the world over.
The tenacious, herbaceous monster.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we chose a very nice picture to throw up on our screen here, man, because it's the old Mike in vintage form, and how we were just talking about how he's kind of turned into that fucking crazy lunatic uncle with all the great fight stories at the barbecue, man, with the face tattoo.
It's Uncle Spike Tyson.
Yeah. And no doubt he is, but no doubt that picture on, if you're looking at your screen on your left, is not the guy you wanted to see back in the fucking circa 80s, 90s.
Nah, he would have been taking my lunch money.
Yeah, your sneakers, anything you wanted, man. Yeah. As they said as in the Two Live Crew song, "Me So Horny," if I may quote those great American poets, what do we get for $50? Anything you want. Yeah, that's exactly what Mike Tyson would take from me. If he came up and said, "Yo, man, what you got?" Anything you want. I mean, come on, man. I think it doesn't even bear repeating, man. But this man, because it's been said by many, but this man's a fucking legend right here, man. A legend, a pop culture icon, as well as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time.
Well, hey, man, look. To start out with this guy, what? He was young. He was already fighting, but he turned 18, becomes a pro, right?
He claimed his first belt at 20 years old. 20 years old.
And he fights 15 times in that first year.
Yeah.
That's more than once a month.
And with all due respect to my man's hat right here, let's go, champ. The great Brownsville Yeti, man. I gotta say, man, and I think even the champ would agree, man. Mike Tyson really is the shit when it comes to guys that came out of Brownsville, though. And no disrespect, there's been a lot of great guys. I just don't know. And they've all done great things. Zab Judah, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. I believe I got his name right. If not, I apologize. Of course, the great Shannon Briggs, who we just talked about. A lot of tough bastards came out of Brown. Riddick Bowe.
Right.
But Mike, I think, though, man, while all those aforementioned guys had illustrious, phenomenal careers and did what they did, man, Mike Tyson, and maybe you could say he's gotten lucky with appearances here, appearances there. He's in the Hangover movies, you know what I mean? But he has made his star rise certainly to, a global superstar.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that had to do with what he did in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A feared killer. I mean, to already be walking around saying you're the heavyweight champion of the world at 20, that's crazy. You're up there with the big boys, dude. And he wasn't the biggest of the big boys either. A lot of people forget. Short in stature and just, a very pit bull-like fucking build. But Mike would not stack up well with 6'4", 6'5" heavyweights on paper. Of course, he would in the ring because he just get right in there uptight with you, man. Just start breaking you down and busting you up.
Yeah, I mean, the longevity of that proved to not really be successful, though, because obviously guys were able to come along and figure that out.
Yeah. It took quite a while, though. It took a guy who knew how to use that size and do it well. First time really didn't happen until 1990 with Buster Douglas in Japan, which still goes down as one of, if not like the biggest upset, at least, odds makers would certainly say, man, that, I mean, Buster Douglas was virtually coming in there given zero chance to beat Mike Tyson.
Right.
Not at that stage of Mike's career. Circa 1990, nope. He was a
Yeah.
lamb. He was being lamb led to the slaughter.
Yeah, he was at his pinnacle then.
Yeah. But Buster Douglas went in there and fought a great fucking fight, though, man. And if I'm not mistaken, he just lost his own mom or grandmother or somebody, man. I'm paraphrasing, but I know for sure one of those two. So I think he was a little extra motivated. But I got to say, though, man, I mean, people who bought his pay-per-views back in the day, man, have got to remember being frustrated, man, shelling out $30-$40 back then, which was like our $75, $80, $100 fucking today.
So, I don't know, something we could definitely bring up about Mike Tyson is that he's a convicted rapist.
Yeah, I wouldn't bring that up, though, man. That one guy almost got himself killed on that talk show bringing that up.
Well, we're discussing the life and boxing life of Mike Tyson, and that was part of the life and boxing life of Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
So,
which, hey, man, I like to think that Mike throughout his life has been brutally honest, man. So this is an endorsement in favor of him, man, because there are a lot of girls out there, snaky girls, man. And this is certainly not the first person that's been victimized or extorted for his money, man. If Mike says he didn't rape a girl, I believe him, man. I don't believe that Mike Tyson gets any woman into a fucking room fucking by herself, man, because she don't want to fucking be with the great Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that because I feel like it's a lot like the Kobe situation.
Yeah.
They're just not gonna it's just it's one of those things, like the girl who's in the room most likely, like you said, wants to be there.
Sure. Yeah. She wants to go a few rounds with the champ. And I gotta say, man, that he was brutally honest in his memoir. Doesn't hold back any of his criminal past or his partying days or any of that stuff, man. So I don't see why he wouldn't be candid on this, man. You know what I mean? He did his time, even if he didn't do the crime. And guess what, man? I don't think he'd still be sticking to that fucking story, though, man. I mean, he's maintained it and he's sustained it. Maintained his innocence, and he hasn't wavered from that, man. And I'll tell you what, man. He was probably just a guy, wrong place, wrong time, with a big fucking dollar sign over his head, man.
That's definitely plausible, man. It's probably
Ike Bayabuchi kind of had the same thing happen, man. And they threw him in jail for quite a long time, man. Another up and coming, for boxing fans who may remember, another big up and coming Nigerian, Ike, the president of Bayabuchi, and everyone was billing up what kind of showdown it was going to be when Iron Mike and him ended up in the ring. He had gone through David Tua. He had gone through Chris Bird. He had gone through some good heavyweights at the time. And Ike was a guy that was in shape and a lot like Tyson, man, aggressive, would fucking throw. That'll eventually be a fight I'd like to spotlight on here. His fight with David Tua, two heavyweights throwing a combined like well over 1,000, 1,500 something punches.
That would have been the Mike and Ike fight.
Yes, absolutely. The Mike and Ike fight. Yes, that would have been the way to bill it too, man. Fucking, you know what would have been great is put both their faces on like a Mike and Ike's box as the fight poster.
Right.
Have the candies falling in the background, or maybe with a few boxing gloves sprinkled in there. I don't know. Although, a shout out to the president, man. He is. I think he was deported once he was released from prison, but he is actively right now throwing out stuff on social media. He's got a little more gray in the beard, but he still don't look like a guy I'd want to mess with, man. But he is talking about like wanting to do something in combat sports. I don't know if that will be fully reinstated boxing or if it'll be bare knuckle stuff or MMA stuff. I don't know, but he's a bear. He's a bear still. Somebody
we could think about in the future getting on here.
Absolutely. And a little fucking fun fact, while he was incarcerated, he was a guy that I actually did exchange letters with a little bit. I found him to be fascinating, man, even back when I was watching him fight before all his legal trouble happened, man. I mean, you just don't see heavyweights that just don't want to, no offense to, on the elite level, there are great heavyweights a la Mike Tyson who don't just want to lay all over guys. But I think we got so conditioned to the Klitschko era of just that jab and grab style, dude. and we just think of big guys lumbering around, leaning on each other, man. But I mean, Ike Ibeabuchi was the guy in there throwing leather, as was Mike. Shannon Briggs, a lot of other guys, man. There were a lot of good, aggressive heavyweights who let their hands go, man. But some of them can take the lazy approach, including the great Tyson Fury, one of our current champions, man. He will admittedly lay his weight on you and then make for a sloppy fight and see it as a big advantage.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to think more shit to talk about Mike Tyson about. I mean,
Michael Spinks.
We mentioned that he was, he's done some movie roles.
I remember that being one of the big super fights of back then, man. Him and Michael Spinks, and it lasted like 91 seconds. I mean, for God's sakes, man, if you went out to your kitchen, man, you couldn't even fucking pop a bag of popcorn in 91 seconds, man.
Right.
And that fight was over. And Mike was ending a lot of them that way. Execution style. Just come in and get the deed over with, man. I'd be curious to fucking look at the stats, and I apologize for not having them here, man. Obviously, we talked about, Shannon the Cannon on here having the 37 first-round knockouts. I'd like to know, what Mike's fucking stats look like on that, though, man, and how long guys averaged going with him. Early on, it wasn't much.
I don't know. I can tell you this, though. This stat, I'm pretty sure that I know, is that 26 of Mike's first 28 fights were all first round knockouts.
Holy shit, man. Yeah.
26 of the first 28.
That's hot coming out of the gate right there, man. That's hot coming out of the gate. I mean, there are guys right now who do that, though. Tank Davis right now has a similar streak going where he's like 28-0, 27 KOs or 26 KOs, something like that. So, I mean, it's not unheard of, man, but I mean,
Tyson was fighting 15 times a year.
Yes, yeah,
knocking a guy out every month.
That's the impressive part, right there, man. Is the fact that of the sheer volume of fights.
Every month he's knocking a new guy out.
And let me see, man, who he's ratcheted on here, man. Because I certainly, if we're showcasing him, I certainly want the shine to be on him. And and now he's got a lot of great opponents on here, but I will just try to showcase.
We would really be remiss not to just automatically mention him biting Evander Holyfield's fucking ear.
Yeah, obviously probably one of the other more notorious acts that Mike is associated with in the ring, outside of the Buster Douglas upset.
Yeah, and him getting mad at that reporter. I fucking tell you. Yeah.
Shout out to you fucking rocking the Easy Eat shirt that I gave you, man. Rest in peace, Easy.
Yep.
So here's Clifford Etienne was one of his last fucking three fights in his career. Clifford Etienne, oddly enough, the Black Rhino, as boxing fans may know him, serving the rest of his life in a Louisiana prison right now, man, for going off the rails a couple of years back.
What did he do?
Oh, man, I think he was I had to be drug related, man, because he was just acting fucking crazy, dude. He fucking abducted a woman, fucking stole her car, had a fucking police chase with the cops.
Again, though, this is something that we can spotlight again and again and again, and I'm gonna continue to do it every time we can. We talked about it with Scully. We talked about it with Stevie Forbes. These boxers, man, they don't always get these illustrious careers and lives, man. A lot of them end up normal dudes that get in trouble and have a lot of problems.
Yeah. Well, so here's the illustrious list. Okay, I mentioned Clifford Etienne. In win, lose, or draw, I'm just basically stating that he was in the ring with, a lot like your Oscar De La Hoyas and your Floyd Mayweathers, man. He's a generational fighter. And in that sense, I mean, fighting everybody of his generation, man, that was good around him, man, that he could feasibly fight. So, so he's got Clifford Etienne, a loss to Lennox Lewis. No shame in that. Lennox did pound him pretty good, man. But that was a guy who used his size properly, his jab properly. I mean, Andrew Galata, that was a no contest. Lou Savarese, he TKO'd. Francois Botha, he knocked out. He does have 2 losses right in a row to Evander Holyfield, but shout out to the real deal. I mean, come on, man. One of the few guys who had the riddle solved.
Right.
Frustrating the hell out of Mike and wasn't going nowhere. A head made out of it. That head might as well have been a cinder block.
Yep. Steel fucking wrecking ball.
Yeah. And granted, I certainly want to address Mike Tyson's allegations, man, that he bit him in retaliation for consistent headbutting from Evander Holyfield, which I wasn't in the ring. I can't speculate. Mike did have a nasty cut over his eye. And let's also remember that Hasim Rahman grew a second head out of his forehead when he was headbutted by Holyfield and got a hematoma the size of a fucking a baby's head.
Yeah, grapefruit.
Bruce Seldon, he fought. Frank Bruno, Buster Mathis, Peter McNeely, Donovan Razor Ruddock twice. Henry Tillman, Buster Douglas, who he did lose to, the famous 1990 loss in Japan. Carl the Truth Williams, Frank Bruno, Michael Spinks, Tony Tubbs, Larry Holmes, Tyrell Biggs, Tony Tucker, Pinklin Thomas, James Bone Crusher Smith, Trevor Burbick, Marvis Frazier, Joe Frazier's son. Oh, he annihilated him. Boy, fucking what he did to Joe Frazier's boy. Oh, my God. Mitch Blood Green, famous gang leader who hated Mike Tyson, man. James Quick Tillis. I mean, you know, and then obviously he gets into the very early stages of his career where he's pretty much fighting nobodies. But I mean, that is a laundry list right there of a who's who, if you will, of the heavyweights of Mike's time.
Right. Fought everybody he had to.
Yeah. The real guys who had success against Mike, man, were certainly Buster Douglas, and I would probably say Lennox Lewis, man. You know, just because they used
and Holyfield.
Holyfield, not because he had physical advantages, it just because, you know, he matched up well size-wise, because he was also a guy who started as a cruiserweight and moved up to heavyweight, man. So he didn't really impose anything necessarily on Mike. He was just that dude, man. Just granite jaw, constantly persisting, can take your best, and is just going to see if you can keep taking his, man. And most of the time, people can't, man. But I'm saying, though, the blueprint for fighting Mike, man, was obviously being a tall guy and fighting tall and using your jab.
Keeping it rangy.
Yeah. And then Buster Douglas.
Don't let Mike close that distance and get inside on you.
Yeah. And I think Mike would tell you, man, that that's where he likes to be, ripping them savage uppercuts that he has.
And the savage interior body work.
Another fun fact, though, right now, though, man, that even though despite one of our current heavyweight champions, Tyson Fury, being named after Mike Tyson and having a good relationship with Mike Tyson, oddly enough, he's training Francis Ngannou, though, for the upcoming fight with Tyson Fury. There's all kinds of footage going around where he's got Ngannou really working the mitts and landing some vicious, vicious shots. I gotta say, man, that Tyson Fury, man, who yes, the Gypsy King is a phenomenal fucking fighter, man, but he has been down in his career from hard punchers.
Yeah, the answer to that, though, is he's always been back up.
Yeah.
You knock me down 8 times, I get up 9.
Yeah.
You know, and you could argue that first one, dude, it was a draw, but you could argue he still did enough to win that fight, even despite being down twice.
Yeah.
With
and let's also give a shout out to Mike Tyson. Fucking post boxing, really, really, really embracing cannabis. You know, it's wonderful to see, man. It really is.
I mean, it's not hurting nobody. Why shouldn't he?
This episode brought to you by the THC Cake Pen. Raving endorsement for them. I ought to get some fucking advertising revenue from them. How dare they? But anyway, it's great to see Mike always baked. He gave us so many great fights, man. If people don't know, Hot Boxing is Mike's podcast. Watch ours first, of course, if you really want to know what's going on, because Mike don't know what's going on. No, he actually does. He has some great guests on there, man. And
yeah, but I think Mike might maybe even agree with this. I don't know if Mike's following boxing right now the way I'm following boxing.
Yeah. Well, he's probably being pulled in a million different directions all the time, man. And there's probably only really so many guys he can really fucking throw.
And that's my point. I'm just a regular average Joe. I get to sit here and scrutinize and watch all the fights.
Right. He's a very busy man who's being but I certainly encourage people to go out and support anything that Mike does. You know, he's really turned into that uncle figure, man. He's got the white and the beard now, man. He's emotional, man. He's raw. He's I mean, you know, tell you exactly how he feels. He's gotten very emotional on his podcast, which is beautiful to see with guys that he admired. He got very emotional when he had Tommy Hearns on there and Sugar Ray Leonard, man, for what they meant to him growing up or whatever, man. And you know, he's a softer, gentler, kinder Mike Tyson at this point in his life.
Well, the thing of it is he always was that Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
He just couldn't let anybody see that nougaty inside.
Yeah.
You know.
But it is nice to see, man, because yeah, you're right. For a while, he had to be the guy that was, you know, fucking seen as nothing but warrior, you know.
Right.
Which is probably a tough dichotomy for him to have to juggle, man, because he seems to really not be. He does it very unabashed. I mean, he doesn't seem to fucking care that people see that side of him. You know, I mean, it takes a confident, strong man to let people see, like, you know, how vulnerable you are. He was very vulnerable in his one-man show that he did, man, which, you know, you can find that, I think, on HBO On Demand. I've watched it a couple times where Mike really comes out and goes through like an hour and a half long, like, you know, just routine, just he's just walking the stage, telling you about his life. He's got some clips showing up on the backdrop behind him. I mean, good stuff, man. Good stuff. I mean, Mike has always been pretty candid about his life, though, man. He has.
Yeah.
He'll tell you about Brownsville. He'll tell you about fucking
he's really got good reason to be at this time because he's done a lot of things that I've seen a lot of things that young people could learn from.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, and I'm trying to look that up now, man, but I'm pretty sure, man, that he had something ridiculous that, like, by a certain age, man, he had been arrested, like, X amount of times, and it was pretty shockingly but at one point, though, man, his moniker was the baddest man on the planet. When someone's calling you the baddest man on the planet and your other nickname is Iron Mike, I mean, that pretty much, you know, if someone thinks that you're carved of iron, man, you know, like, I want to give credit where credit's due. His final record was out of 58 total fights, 50 wins, 6 losses, 2 no contests, 44 KOs.
Right. And again, I'll bring it up again because we're in the heavyweights, and you mentioned it before. That record warranted him to be in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, as it should. So where's Cannon?
Yes. Yeah, we've been very vehement, man, about fucking even though the Cannon, who I'm wearing some Cannon gear right now, let's go champ, has not yet made his appearance on our show, you know, unbeknownst to him. Well, hopefully he is aware, but he is going to do it. Whether he wants to or not. No. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. He's going to make good on his word, man. He's a gentleman. Not to put any pressure on him, man, but this is pressure. This is what pressure looks like. I'm a pressure fighter, man. I just want to see the Cannon come on and put up that fucking you know, his fist. That fist is like like a baby ham. You know, it's like a sledgehammer.
Fucking Cornish game hen.
Yeah, it is. Micro pig, like at the end of his fucking yeah. I mean, just a massive fist, man. A massive fist. I mean, like that thing, dude. Fuck brass knuckles, dude. Having a fist like that is like wearing brass knuckles. You hit somebody with a fucking slab like that, man. I mean, he held his up in an interview with Rampage Jackson, and Rampage Jackson held his up, and he just started laughing about it. Like that little hand. But I'll tell you, the showdown of Brownsville, man, like probably would have been Iron Mike in the Cannon. And they were in talks once when Mike first wanted to come back about doing something exhibition. But I think with all due respect, man, towards Mike, this is, I think, from Shannon's side, I think he just respects him and reveres him too much to want to even fight him.
Right.
And I'm by no means fucking saying that the Cannon fucking loses that fight, now or in his prime. Because the Cannon was, he was no joke either, man. I think Lennox Lewis is on record as saying that the Cannon was his toughest opponent, man. That's high praise.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, man, I think we've covered Mike's early life. We've covered his fight life. We've covered his post life. I think it's about that time, man, for me to quote our great American poet.
Who would our great American poet be for people that do not know who our great American poet is? And I don't know, man. Have we showered Mike with enough praise? We have, man. We defended his criminal allegations, man. We've certainly fucking praised his fucking career, his knockouts, his championing of his challenging upbringing, and yet still rising above all that to numerous accolades and heavyweight champ at 20 years old, man, and all the knockouts that people remember or don't remember because they were up taking a piss and didn't get back in time to fucking see it. Back when they were ending in 60 seconds or 40 seconds or 90 seconds.
Yep.
I think
Mike is and forever will be one of the heavyweight GOATs.
Yeah, there. It's said right there, man. That guy that's on the left of your screen, if you're at home watching this, man, that is not the guy you wanted to see circa 85 to 90 at all.
Most of us off the couch don't want to see him right now.
Just came in with just a towel around his neck, black trunks, black shoes, no socks.
You got to remember, even as advanced age, this guy just fought advanced age Roy Jones Jr. I don't think I could fight Roy Jones.
No.
At any age.
No. Yeah.
So still tough.
And shout out, there were even rumors, man. I don't know if they're true or not, man, but shout out if he did, man, that Mike came in and fought that under the influence of cannabis. I don't know if that's true or not, man, but I mean, you know, maybe it helped relax him, and maybe it doesn't even affect you at all, man. Like maybe, you know, it can have medicinal properties on relaxing everything throughout the course of a fight and not cloud you mentally, and you can still fight like your fight and play chess.
If I remember correctly, I think he won that fight.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and give it a second look, man, to fucking really see, man. But that would have been that would have been a hot ticket way back in the day, man. A very hot ticket, because let's, and anytime we shout out someone's name on here, because we're so in awe of guys who climb through those ropes, man. Shout out to the great Roy Jones Jr., man, who himself made it all the way from, I think, like middleweight all the way up to heavy himself.
I mean, he's got losses and things, but you really could argue that he's the GOAT of, like, seriously all time.
I don't go with the Mayweather theory, man, that you got to have a goose egg, man, for losses, man, to be the GOAT. I'm sorry. I just don't, man. I like when you've been defined.
I mean, fighting is that thing that, like, as a young boy, you were always taught, you know what I'm saying? Win, lose, or draw, you just go out there and give your best effort, and you're not always going to be the better man. That's how it goes.
Right. And Mike Tyson, man, let's also not forget, too, man, that in the build-up to that Lennox Lewis fight, though, man, that was another one that was very chippy. Mike was fucking extremely angry back then, man, and intimidating. That was scary. That was a terrifying Mike Tyson. Shout out to Lennox Lewis for being willing to come in the ring and fucking face that version of Mike Tyson. That I want to eat your children, Mike Tyson.
And beat him.
Yeah. Stick his jab and fight him. And not only beat him, man, but beat him up actually pretty good.
Yeah, he fought his fight.
Yeah.
He made Mike fight his fight.
But I also think that Lennox himself would give a lot of credit to the late, great Emmanuel Stewart, who was his longtime trainer and, a great boxing mind himself. I mean, part of the HBO boxing team. Shout out to them because they were the best.
But we're, again, though, like I said, we've done all we can do for Mike here.
Yeah.
We've done all we can do for him.
Bowing down to you, Iron Mike, a.k.a. the baddest man on the planet.
A.K.A. in his young days, Kid Dynamite.
A.K.A. Co-star, and you can say this, of the Hangover series.
Yep.
A.K.A. star of his own one-man show. What else has Mike done? He's got to been in some commercials and some other shows. He's popped up here and there, his face, man, just because it's funny, man. I mean, nothing's better than him singing One Night in Bangkok, though, in the Hangover movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mike had some great scenes, some iconic scenes, man. I mean, punching out Stu in the first one.
Yep.
As he's listening to Phil Collins in the air tonight.
To quote our great American quote, Gary
Please
Busey,
do.
I will say that Mike Tyson, Gary Busey, and myself can go 15 seconds with anything.
I would agree on that. And on that note, we will finish off with a big, huge bazang!